Hello everyone who could not be here today. We're on page 183 in Mr. Bryce's math class. Mean as a balancing point, measure a central tendency. We're looking at mean, median, and mode. Whenever you have a question like exercise number 1, make sure that you write down the two answers that it's asking for. It's asking for the mean, it's asking for the median to the nearest tenth. Median means middle number, mean means the average. This is all the work that you have to write down. They're already ordered from least to greatest. Find the middle number, pairing up the ends. We see that it is 2.5 and write it down. Add up all the numbers. They equal 29. Divide by 12 because there are 12 numbers, and it's 2.41, but it says round to the 10th, so it's 2.4. Exercise number 2 is really tricky. It's tricky because, be careful, there's not 133, there are 2 of them. So we wrote down 33 twice. We wrote down all the numbers. There are 20 numbers. Yes, indeed, there are 20 numbers. We found the median, and now you find the mean by adding them up and dividing by 20. Make sure you write down the total before dividing by 20. So this question tells us there's no spot to round. When we actually do the work, it comes out to be exactly 36.1. If it came out to be 36.3 repeating, we'd have to write down 36.3 repeating because it doesn't tell us to round. We have to write down the exact answer. There's no spot to round. So unless it says round, don't round. Now if it comes out to be a really funky decimal like 36.1819372, we know we did something wrong if it doesn't tell us to round. Only when it's a repeating decimal or a terminating decimal will it be okay to use. You know, kind of a little light should go on in the head. Something's not quite right. The speed limit along this part of the highway is 35 miles an hour. Based on our results from part A, is it fair? Fair is a very difficult word. Fair to make the conclusion that the average driver does not speed? What is the average driver? Is the average driver going to be the median, or is the average driver going to be the mean? If we look at the median, we think that, okay, the average driver is going the speed limit. If we look at the mean, no, the average driver is not going the speed limit, they're going over the speed limit. Don't think that average means mean all the time. Average can mean mean, median, or mode, depending on the condition. You have to look back at the data. Is there a tail? If there's a tail, use median. Is there someone that's pulling the data really far to the right or really far to the left? Look at it and think. Is there something pulling the data really far to the right, really far to the left? What do you think, Jason? I think that guy didn't realize there was a speed limit change. That guy's pulling the speed limit to the high side. So because that guy or girl, because that person is pulling the speed limit, that makes it a tail. So we're going to use the median because there is 2 words for that, an outlier, also known as a tail. You could use tail if you want. Nothing wrong with using the word tail. We know what it is mathematically. Because there's an outlier or a tail, use the median. So the average driver is going the speed limit. On the next page, when conducting statistical studies, it's not always possible to obtain information about every person. Can we ask every person in the school what their favorite ice cream is? We could. Can we ask everyone in Susquehanna Valley School District what their favorite ice cream is? More difficult, but we can. Can we in this class ask everyone in New York State what their favorite ice cream is? No. So there are two types, okay? A census is where every person is counted. You will see that on your calculator as that. This tail is a little bit smaller on hanging off the top of the O, okay? But when we enter the data and we want to know which one are we going to use, are we going to use the, are we counting every person? We use that number on our calculator. When we do a sample, this is very easy. A sample is just part of. This is why I can remember the difference between everyone and sample, because sample is the one with the S. Okay? Our calculator is going to be telling us what number to use there. To determine which television programs are most popular in a large city, a poll is conducted by selecting a sample. So we would use, because it's a sample, we would use sample of people at random by interviewing them. Outside one of the following locations would the interview be likely to find a fair? I told you earlier today that fair is a strange word. A fair sample. Okay. If I were to ask people about their favorite sport and I'm outside Yankee Stadium, that is not fair because most of them are going to say baseball. If I ask people if they like to eat meat in Omaha Steakhouse, most of them are going to say, yes, they like to eat meat. If you ask a whole bunch of people if they prefer vegetarian diet, there's a vegetarian restaurant in Vestal, I can't remember the name of it right now. Most of those people will say, yes, they prefer a vegetarian diet. Those are not fair. If you ask a 7-year-old what is the most popular dinner, they might say ice cream or pizza. Okay? Ask another population, they might say lentils. They might say spaghetti. Okay? You can imagine those populations. Okay? Those are unfair. If I ask people in calculus if they're going to be going to an engineering school, most of them will say yes, because that's an engineering class. That's an unfair. So what is fair? If I ask people at a street corner where their favorite place is to go to dinner, as long as it's not in front of a whole bunch of restaurants. If I ask people in a street corner who their favorite politician is, if I ask people in the lunchroom here, in the cafeteria, what kind of classes they're going to take next year, those are fair because it's random, it's a mixture of people. If I ask people in a study hall, all those are fair. So we're looking here, television programs. Are people in a baseball stadium going to like a specific channel on the TV? More likely than another. Do you think they're going to like ESPN? I think they might like ESPN or some kind of sports channel. So this is not the best answer, but read all of them so far. A concert hall. They might like MTV. Okay. So this is not the best answer yet. A grocery store. Does everyone or almost everyone have to go to a grocery store? Has anyone in this room not been to a grocery store? Okay, everyone's been to a grocery store. This is the best answer, but read the last one. Comedy club. Does everyone go to a comedy club? No, only if you like comedy. Grocery store is the best. Okay, Explain your choice and why the other are inappropriate. So go ahead and write down some reasons why these are not appropriate. Okay, so before we go on to the next question, let's review some more words that might be fair. Fair is also unbiased. Okay? Unbiased means you not leaning one way or another. You don't ask the Young Republicans Club who they're going to vote for in an election. Okay? They're going to go for a certain direction. So, unbiased means they don't have a strong opinion. So, bias means strong opinion. Unbiased means you don't have a strong opinion. Give you a second to write that down. How many of you knew unbiased and biased before 10 seconds ago? About a third of us. Exercise 4. Trung is trying to determine the average height of the high school male students because he's on the basketball team. Is that a smart idea? You're trying to find the average height of a high school student and you're on the basketball team. He used the heights of the players on the basketball team. Is that a good sample? Do you think the average height of a person is going to play basketball? Kevin says no. These are people taller than average. 72 inches is 6 feet. So that's 6 feet, just to give you an idea. This is 6 foot 10 inches. The door is 6 foot 8 inches. So that person has to duck going through the door. Yep. Calculate the mean and the median. What's the first thing we do? Write down mean. Mean equals, write down median equals. For this data set, rounding any non-integer answer to the nearest tenth. So if it doesn't come out to be a whole number, round to the tenths. They are in order from least to greatest, so it's very easy to find the median. Go for it. Remember, if our answer is bigger than the largest number, if it's bigger than 82, we made a mistake. Add them all up, hit equals, then divide by 14. So they add up to 1044, divide it by 14, comes out to be 74.57, but it says round to the nearest tenths, so that equals 74.6 inches. The median is the middle number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Once you've been doing this for 52 years, you can do it that fast also. Right between 74 and 75 is 74.5. Wow. These are extremely close together, right? That tells us it's good data, okay? It tells us that it's balanced. There isn't a tail. There's no tail. It doesn't tell us if we ask the right people. Is the data set above a fair sample? Are they good people to ask for an average height? Choose to determine the average height of the high school students in the male? I am going to tell you it's no. You write down an explanation. So if you wrote down the fact that no, because they only asked the basketball team, you're almost right. Class, what's special about the basketball team? One more time. They're tall. And they are taller than, and the special word which is actually a math word, normal. Normal is another word for typical or average. Okay? So that's a really good answer. But you have to say something about, no, because they're taller. Taller than average, taller than normal, taller than a typical person. Okay? They're specially selected for their height. Data sets can have members that are far away from all the rest of the data set, like the basketball team. These elements are called outliers. I already said that once. Outliers is kind of like the outside. It's like a tail. It's like a tail, which can result in the mean that doesn't represent the true average of the data. So if there is a tail, if there's an outlier, we will always use the median. Mr. Petrovic's advanced calculus course, 8 students recently took a test. Their grades were as follows: 45, 78, 82, 85, 87, 89, 93, and 95. Calculate the mean and the median. What's the first thing we do? Write down mean equals and median equals. Okay, do those calculations. Tell me what they add up to. 654. What do we divide by? Divide by 8. What does that equal? One more time. 81.75. Does it tell us to round? It doesn't. That is a nice number. Okay, what's the median? 86. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4. 85 plus 87 divided by 2 is 86. Good. What's the outlier? Who does not belong? Who doesn't belong? We can see that number. Kevin, who doesn't belong? 45. Outliers don't always have to be to the right. They can be to the left. There's 33 away from 45 and 78, while all the others have a difference of less than 20. So that one is way out there. Which value, the mean or the median, is better? Should we use 81.75 or 86? We always have to use the mean? Mean? No, median. Always use the median when there's an outlier. Always use the median when there's a tail. 86. Always use median when there is a tail. Every time I see them ask this question on your midterm or your final exam, it's always use the median because there's a tail. Every single time they ask this question. This is the only way they can ask that question. They can't ask it any other way. Okay. Here is the homework. The homework is the next 2 pages.